this is a full guide on getting from 0 all the way up to a weighted no dip muscle up. If you're interested on who I am Brandon Maloney. I've been training calisthenics for just over like a year and a bit, probably like a year and a month and a half, 2 months, something along those lines. I don't even know at this point. I can look at the date after I record this. In that time, I've got to crazy no dip muscle ups, literally like 100% pull ups, like literally like pulling up until my arms are completely straight with zero push at all. I've been able to do 70-ish handstand push-ups in a session, 9-degree handstand push-ups, one arm pull-ups, 50 kilo pull-ups, 50 kilo dips, but for more reps, obviously, I'm not like weirdly disproportionate or anything. Front lever for about 5 seconds currently, and 1-2 second planche, something along those lines, but with like pretty decently straight form. I'm going to increase the time by using not as good form and doing bands as well soon because I injured my wrist and I can't go as intense with it. That's who I am, and I'm going to be explaining to you how you can get from 0 all the way up to a no dip muscle up with weight. For this, you hear a lot of like advanced guys online say you don't need to focus on getting strong, you don't need to focus on lifting weights. You just need to do the thing. And they are right in the sense of just learning skills. I've had this conversation with a couple people, and I'm fairly confident in the way that I can answer it and how I can explain it. Essentially, when you get super strong at weighted pull-ups, for example, because that closely mimics what a muscle up is. Obviously not one-to-one, that kind of stuff. Just bear with me while I'm speaking. When you get super strong, you kind of increase your base. But at the same time, people only talk about this. What they don't talk about is that your ceiling goes up as well for the potential of strength that you can show. What I mean by that is when converting strength to power, and that's what a muscle up is. It's a power-based movement. If you think of like a power clean or like a very fast squat, or like doing sets of 1 to 3 on a power lift, doing like sets of 1 to 3 on a squat, trying to build more explosiveness, like out of the hole or locking out at the top position or whatever. It wouldn't be locking out. That was kind of a dumb example, but you kind of get what I mean. If you want to train power more and you want to be more powerful in proportion to your body weight, I come from a background of like training like an athlete and athletic training, all that kind of stuff. So I understand how the conversion works decently well. How you periodize athletic training is you go from a hypertrophy phase where you're trying to build muscle and gain mass to a strength phase where it's a little bit of power, a little bit of strength. The hypertrophy also has all three, but it's mostly muscle building. Then you go into a strength phase where you try and get stronger. Your sets of 1 to 5 go up, 1 to 4 go up, all that kind of stuff. Maybe not sets of 1 because like high level athletes actually aren't that good at like weightlifting, but the ones who are do like 1 to 5, 3 to 5, stuff like that. At the same time, you increase power. As you get closer into the season, as you get closer to like your big main game, you'll change that training from strength training up to power training. And the reason why they do that cycle of hypertrophy, strength, and then power is because of the fact that hypertrophy, more muscle, leads to more strength. More strength leads to more power. Somebody who can squat 500 pounds almost always, when trained, is going to be able to squat or is going to be able to jump higher than somebody who can squat 100 pounds, because the power difference, the strength difference is just so completely different, assuming they're the same weight, obviously. The balance is just so completely different that it's able to convert so much better. And the person who squats 500 is going to be able to improve their vertical significantly better than somebody who doesn't squat 500 because their ceiling, again, is significantly higher. So if you think about it, like each workout, you go up to your ceiling by 2.5, 5%, whatever. Their ceiling is much higher. So they go this fast, or their ceiling is up here, while the other person goes this fast because their ceiling is right here. You kind of see what I mean? Muscle ups is very similar. It's a power-based movement. It's not even explosiveness. People get explosiveness mixed up. Explosiveness is how long it takes you to reach point A to point B. Power is actually doing the thing. So power is the end result. Explosiveness is measuring the unit of time that it took. Explosiveness is a measure. Power is actually being able to do the thing. So power clean, for example, you're powerful enough to power clean 185 pounds, like 70 kilos, up to your shoulders and then hold it there. You're powerful enough to do that. That's your power marker. Your explosiveness is how long it took you to get from your hips up to your shoulders. That's all that means. Strength is super important for learning skills, especially like this, especially if you want to get explosive. Now, you can be more complicated and periodize it. I personally think, especially for beginners, just getting to a point to where you're decently strong on like weighted dips and weighted pull-ups and all that kind of stuff is more than enough. If you're interested in that, I have a free, just don't click off yet, I have a free community explaining all of that in crazy detail. It took me like 40 hours to put together. It's tons of stuff. I teach you how to do the exercises exactly. I teach you literally how to go from nothing all the way up to learning your first muscle ups, handstand push-ups, and how to condition your joints and all that kind of stuff. I teach you to avoid all of the fake guru knowledge that's online, and that's one of the main reasons that I'm doing it, is just because I am so tired of like nonsense two-set method bagwash that isn't actual true to how strength training works. Now I'm going to get into it with you, assuming that you already have a decent level of strength up until this point. So like save this guide and refer back to it, or just watch and take notes and then take these things to the end with you. A lot of guys, when they start training muscle ups and high pull-ups or whatever, because this is smart, right? You can't pull high enough to do a muscle up. You can either do one of two things. You can do banded in order to pull high enough, or you can do high pull-ups to where you can just do it with your body weight. I honestly kind of think high pull-ups are a better exercise for muscle ups, especially at a higher level, because once you're able to pull kind of to your hips with a little bit of kimp, you're able to just lower the amount of kimp that you use, and then you're able to pull to your hips. That's like 100% pull. Like muscle ups are like 80% pull, like kind of 0% push, really. Like once you get good at them, especially like the strength required, they're mostly pull. If you're able to do high pull-ups to like a decent level, even up to like right here, you only have to push this much. This is easy. Your forearms are barely aligned. You like shrug your shoulders up and kind of go like this, and you're completely fine. A lot of people, though, do it wrong. They do lower sets of like 5 to 10, for example. And you might be thinking about that like, yeah, what's wrong with that? You're being explosive. That's wrong. You want to be explosive in those higher rep ranges with your weighted pull-ups, with your body weight pull-ups, with stuff like that. If you want actual like 1-to-1 conversion, you need to be doing sets of 1 to sets 3 in the start. Now, depending on how strong you are, you're going to have to modify that. But the reason why you do sets of 1 and sets of 2, mostly sets of 3 is honestly a little bit more advanced, even if you're just hitting these strength levels that I'm saying, because once you get past those reps, I've found that most people lose their level of explosiveness. So what that means is they'll pull, they'll get maybe to their sternum here. They'll pull, they'll get to their sternum, maybe a little bit higher again. They'll pull again on that third rep. They only get up to like their chest. They lost a couple inches in their explosiveness, and they're going to keep going for another like 2 reps. Now they're only getting to like their collarbone or to their chin or whatever. If you do that, those last couple of reps aren't making you more explosive. They're just fatiguing you, and you could even argue they're making you less explosive. Like if you had an athlete who was doing power cleans, for example, if this is your first time coming to my channel, I'm not like constantly talking about like athletic training. This is just like 1-to-1 conversion of what I can think of and how I can relate it back to the story. If you think of an athlete doing power cleans, for example, where they come up and go here, after the point to where they fail and they can't bring it up, that's like an unsuccessful set. That's like, oh, you did too much. I was really stupid. We shouldn't have did that because we just wasted time. Imagine if they did another couple of reps where they missed it, and then they did a deadlift, and then they pulled it up to here, and then they just did a regular deadlift, and then like they just started deadlifting the weight. Like that would be retarded. That's not training the power aspect of the movement. If you want to get more powerful, doing a bunch of sets of 1 to 2 reps, how I like to format it is in my program, I think it's 3 times a week I have you do it, and you have a hard day and then you have a weightlifting day. So how I program it is once you start out the cycle getting good at pull-ups and dips, or how I like have my programs is there's different levels. One of them is body weight only. You train weighted dips, weighted pull-ups 3 times a week. You have a leg movement thrown in there just because we want to train legs as well. Then 2 times a week, but you add more movement. So you train like incline pressing and horizontal rowing, and you train your wrist and your elbow and all that kind of stuff, because I think that's very important for calisthenics. Just skills in general, not necessarily like anything specifically. I can go rant about like how they apply to different ones, but you probably don't care about that. And then I have you train 1 time a week with weights just to kind of maintain what you have, nothing too crazy. And then you progress from there, but with the 2 skills that you want to learn, which are the handstand push-ups and the muscle ups. For the muscle ups, I have you do 2 and 4 sets on like weightlifting days, and then anywhere from 2 to 6 sets. Again, you progress it over time. Don't jump straight to 6 sets, but 2 and 6 sets of 1 to 2. And then once you get to a level to where you're comfortable with how high you're pulling, so like up to your hips at least, or you're doing like really explosive muscle ups to where you're happy with how they look. Like, obviously they can be better, they can be more explosive, but you're relatively fine with like visually how they look to you. Then you add a rep. So then you go from 2 reps to 3 reps, and then you drop the sets, and then you raise the number of reps that you do, and then you do the same thing. So how it would work is you pyramid, let's say you're doing sets of 2. Pyramid up the sets, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up the reps that you do by 1, lower this back down to like 3 or 4. And then you pyramid it up, and then you do the same thing. Then you pyramid it up, and then you do the same thing. But only when that final rep is still explosive. So if the final rep of your final set is still like you're satisfied with, because obviously you're going to be tired and fatigued and all that kind of stuff before you get to the level of, or not till you get to the level, you're going to be tired and fatigued and stuff after you've done 6 sets of 4. Like, just being explosive in general tires you out a ton because it's maximal. You're moving with as much intent as possible. So like power training, for example, you would think it's not very fatiguing because the weights typically aren't super heavy proportionate to what you can lift. Like obviously Olympic weightlifters, like power cleaning 400 pounds, 200 kilos, whatever, 440. I think someone's done 200 kilos, maybe 220. But Olympic lifters doing that, yeah, that's heavy, but for them, they could probably deadlift double that. So power training isn't necessarily like it's heavier like plyometric training if you want to think about it. So like plyometrics is like jumps and all that kind of stuff. Power training is like that, but on steroids. So it's just heavier. So you need both, but power training is going to, again, build a base for that like explosive plyometric type training. And I say explosive, I know I defined it differently before, but you understand what I mean. So that's why I'm saying it like that. And I honestly don't have a different word for it because I'm not very smart. Anyways, how you're going to progress this is you're going to do form, then you're going to increase sets, and then you're going to decrease the sets but increase the reps. So like I said before, so you're going to start with low reps. You're going to progressively up the amount of sets that you do to become more and more explosive, practice the movement a ton. This is another reason if you're going like close to failure with muscle ups, like doing 5, 10 reps, high pull-ups, whatever, you're just doing like body weight sets of like pull-ups or muscle ups or whatever. Like if you want to train endurance, that's completely fine. That's a completely different strategy than this. I'm mostly targeting the guys who want to do explosive, clean looking muscle ups. Combining the muscle up with weight. Once you're able to do no dip muscle ups fairly easily, literally just slap on a plate, do a muscle up. After 2 to 3 sessions, you'll be able to do it no problem. That's literally that simple, especially if you're already strong at weighted pull-ups. Now, if you want to go far with it, if you want to be able to do like 50 kilo muscle-ups, that's completely different. Again, it's a very similar format of increasing sets and decreasing reps, but there's different percentages and different rep ranges and all that type of stuff you would use. It's more close to like actual powerlifting training. So like street lifters train like powerlifters, which is why they do like weighted muscle-ups or not why they do weighted muscle-ups, but like when they do weighted muscle-ups, they do like similar reps and rep ranges and all that kind of stuff. But combining the muscle up with weight is literally as simple as like you're able to do 4 sets of 2 like really explosive no dip muscle ups like the ones that I do. Like I'm not even trying to be like an a-hole or anything, like genuinely the ones that I do. That's why I'm able to combine them, is because my body weight literally is nothing. Once you are able to do that, just slap on like a 5 kilo plate, 10 kilo plate, whatever. 10 kilos is probably going to be a little bit too heavy. You're going to have to work up to that, but just sticking with that for a few sessions, literally doing the same process, you'll get stronger. You'll get more powerful, especially if you have a really good weighted pull-up. So I'm pretty sure that's all. Just before you go, have an attention span, please. I've helped you. I just let me get through my little sales bit, and then we can end. You've watched that. Come on, just give me a little bit of time, please. Free creative mode protocol. First link in the description, only link in the description probably. Again, you can learn all of this in more detail, how to build strength and all that kind of stuff inside of that protocol. And that's basically everything. All you have to do, you go onto it. There's like a little sales page thing. I'm not selling you anything, but there's like a little sales page thing, like a little website that you go onto. You just click it. It's all super easy to use. You make an account, you do all that kind of stuff. And then once you create it, you literally just go in, you answer the questions, and then you're in for life, and you're never going to be kicked unless you do something like really stupid or you're just a total misery to be around or whatever. Anyways, that's been everything. My name has been Brandon. Keep doing the best of doing your best. Trust God. Signing off.